So today we're going to talk about publishing, not railway magazine publishing, but that of railway books. And I'm delighted to welcome Kevin Derrick to our latest World of Railways interview, founder of book publisher Strathwood. So, Kevin, approximately 150 railway books and counting.
You're quite correct there. Yes, been very, very busy behind the lines.
So, how did Strathwood start? Tell us a little bit about your history.
I was fascinated by railways from a very young age. Went through all the train spotting bits, early railway modelling with trying Hornby stuff. Which then sort of progressed as one left school. Started with one career path, which took me abroad. I found myself living in Australia for 10 years. There we were starved of anything to do with British Railways, whether it be books, models, and the like. It was very difficult back in the 1980s to find such things. So I started a business in Australia called Derrick Enterprises, which one or two of our friends in the Antipodes might recall. Then my career structure took me into financial services and took me away from Australia. I became a manager of a financial services company for 10 years, but then decided after the 9/11 and the fact that I was spending so much time on aeroplanes, traveling all around the world, which isn't that glamorous, I can tell you, I decided I wanted to spend more time at home with my family and realized some of the railway books that I'd seen, I thought perhaps could be improved upon. And I always wanted to produce some of my own. So in 1999, I started that process. I was still working in financial services. And then after, as I say, 9/11, I decided that was it. The travelling had to go, and Strathwood really started to take off as my day job.
Have you seen significant changes then in book publishing since that date?
Oh, crikey, yes. Back then, of course, we had a lot more by way of railway bookshops that were dedicated to railways. The Ian Allen range of shops were still open. Whenever you went to shows, there were a lot of dealers dealing in second-hand and new railway books. And over the years, some of them have retired or moved on. And the changes that we've seen from this, certainly since Ian Allen sort of pulled out of the market and then became Cressy, the way in which books have been published and put together has changed massively. It's now sort of easy, on the one hand, for an individual to publish their own book. You probably see this out there. The problem that really comes in is in the distribution of that book. You can spend a lot of money and a lot of time putting a book together, hoping that it's really good and going to be of something that is of great interest to everybody else. I'm afraid the whole concept of Joe Blogg's railway collection might be interesting to Joe Bloggs and his family, but it doesn't necessarily have a commercial viability out there unless Joe Bloggs turned out to be an absolutely fabulous railway photographer or has a very good, interesting life story to tell.
Right. Well, that sort of answers my next question. In your view, what makes for a good book? Are we talking quality of publication, the story, and presumably quality of the imagery that accompanies that then? Is that almost the guaranteed trilogy for a successful book?
No guarantees in this whatsoever. I've seen a number of fabulous books privately put together that have been missed by the general public simply because they've just not been promoted out there. The real cost to all of this is in the promotion, as it is with any form of product, whether it be a model railway product that's new to the market. If you can't get it in front of your potential purchasers, you're not going to sell that many copies. Everyone seems to think, oh, well, I'll just create a website and everybody will come. No, they won't. You've got to drive them onto the website. And there lies another great cost and expense. the hard fact, really, I suppose, was from the first book that we produced. That first book had to bear all of the cost of not only its production, but also its publicity and distribution. It's only really once you've got, say, a dozen or so books within your catalogue, your cost of promotion can be shared across a dozen titles. So it then starts to become viable. To be perfectly honest, I put over £100,000 of my own money to start this business and didn't draw any form of profit or dividend from it for over a year.
So your website says you're looking for negatives and slides from the 1950s to the 1970s, presumably with a view to publication. Is there still much material out there that you think is stashed away in people's lofts yet to be discovered, or have we pretty much seen everything that we can likely see from that period?
No, I don't think we have seen everything. There are a number of collections that we're aware of that have only been seen privately at model railway shows and presentations that are certainly worthy of going to a far wider audience and being preserved forever within books. The unfortunate thing is some people are very cautious about letting their material away from themselves so that it can be professionally scanned and enhanced if required in order to do something with it. Therein lies the next problem, because they then think one of two things. Either that this market is so profitable that the first thing they should be looking to do is to book a long sum holiday to the Bahamas off of their royalties. Well, the royalties are not going to be that strong. I can tell you now, we're not selling Jamie Oliver cookbooks with massive circulation figures. But on the other hand, some of the picture contributors and authors take the view, well, I'll get around to doing it myself one day. And the unfortunate fact of life is, as we're all getting older, for some people that day never arrives. And that's always a great shame. And then their families, not really knowing what to do with the resource that's been left behind. Sometimes it's stored in the loft. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's thrown out, or other times it's given to railway clubs, societies, the National Railway Museum, who themselves will find it very difficult to perhaps store, catalogue, and even make that material available or even publish it.
Let's assume that somebody watching this has an archive of railway material that they would like to see published. Is there a requirement for them to become a written author too?
No, not at all. Some people do want to tell their own story, and they would love to see for example, the Joe Bloggs railway story in print. It would obviously mean that they would have to have a good story to tell, and it would be nice if they could write something and produce their own captions. On the other hand, we've published many thousands of photographers' work in various books and publications. They've not had anything really to do with it aside from just giving us the basic information, date, location, and so forth. We're quite happy to do all of the other work for them. And then when the book's published, obviously they'll get a free complimentary copy coming through the post.
I think it's time we discuss this hefty tome which came out just before Christmas,
Yes.
A Race Against Time. Let's have a look at this this cover. I think you said it weighs 7.5 kilos.
It certainly does by the time it's carefully packed with bubble wrap and its bespoke bookcase, almost like a paving slab. This really is the coffee table book that you would want. It's not like the big dad's book of trains. This particular tome came around by the two gentlemen who, back in the early 1960s, as just graduating from their university, they treated themselves to high quality cameras and then decided to go around the country either by push bike, train, or one of them also had an old second-hand van which gave them accommodation to travel around the UK. They were determined to record the last days of steam, and they collectively, between the two of them, they combined a magnificent back catalogue of negatives from the 1960s around the UK chasing steam. The unfortunate thing was they had decided that they would try to publish it themselves, and they had great ideas on this. In fact, they took their work around a number of publishers, and they were rejected in many cases. Then, unfortunately, one of the two gentlemen was diagnosed with cancer and has sadly since passed away. The onus then really became on the survivor of this particular project to try and get it over the line. And that's where we came in. It's just a chance phone call, an email one day that came to us, because we hadn't actually been at Strathwood, hadn't been offered the work before. I just asked for some sample images to be sent electronically via the internet, and I virtually fell backwards with the quality of such material. Absolutely fabulous. And the whole idea was to produce a really large-scale book so that the quality of the images could be seen and appreciated by all of the readers. Hence the fact that we've produced A Race Against Time, featuring the work of Don McKinnon and Alan Keppel. Now, it does mean that it's a little bit more expensive than most, but the fact that we've got 442 pages in there, you would see exactly why we really pushed the boat out on this one. It is a special book. It truly is.
And still available to purchase from the websites?
Yes, we did a limited print run of it. It came out and was delivered to us just a matter of about a fortnight before Christmas, so it missed out on all of the Christmas publicity. One or two people did manage to pick up on it, and then unfortunately it's all sort of been lost and mown over by the influx of books that have come out since. That said, it's a limited print run, which has 500 copies, and there's about 160 copies as we speak left today. So those who really want to have a look at it for themselves, have a look on our website. The title is A Race Against Time.
There you go. Check out that book on strathwood.co.uk. And for those viewers watching that would like to see another selection of books, you can find them in the World of Railways shop. Simply visit the worldofrailways.co.uk and follow the link in the top bar to join our shop. Kevin, really interesting discussion there on book publishing in 1999 and today. For those watching, if you have a collection of railway photographs that you would like to see in print, strongly recommend you get in touch with a publisher now rather than later. When it comes to clearing out or you're moving house and things get lost or damaged, there you go. That's my little 2p's worth. Kevin, thank you very much for your time today. It's a pleasure, and keep those books coming out. We'll look forward to seeing what you've got under your sleeve.
Great. Nice to talk with you, Howard.
Thank you. Take care.